You have a nasty mouth, you bald donkey. If the noble path can't hold him back, what makes you think the Temple of Great Emptiness can? Kong Xian's expression remained calm as he said slowly, "The abbot has been cultivating in seclusion for a century and has raised his cultivation base tremendously. We can deal with that old villain." Kong Xian's words were akin to a rock being thrown into a still lake, causing everyone present on the Holy Altar's plaza to break into an uproar. Many of them even had a frightened expression on their faces. They knew that the Temple of Great Emptiness Kong Yuan was a six-leaf golden body, divine monk a century ago. They did not expect him to be cultivating in seclusion all this time. Someone from the Clarity sect stood up and bowed as he cupped his hands together at Kong Xian. If Master Kong Yuan can deal with the old villain from the Evil Sky Pavilion, the Clarity sect agrees to hand over Shi Fiend, Zhou Yu, to the Temple of Great Emptiness. The people from the Noble Path were stunned. The Clarity sect and the Righteous sect were of the same lineage. However, the people in charge were not present currently. If they agreed to this, how would they explain themselves to the dead disciples? They could not call the shots. Kong Xian nodded. This old monk thanks the benefactors from Clarity sect. The Temple of Great Emptiness definitely won't let you down. Will certainly reform the villain. At this moment, a deep voice sounded from behind Kong Xian. "You'll have to ask for my permission if you want to take Zhou Yu away." Kong Xian turned around to face the Fiend Temple. "This old monk has said this visit isn't intended as a negotiation. I'm merely here to notify you of this decision." He spoke gently, but it grated on the nerves of the listeners. The third seer of the Fiend Temple raised an eyebrow as he said coldly, "What a sanctimonious bald donkey!" The Temple of Great Emptiness clearly planned this and cast a great meditation dharani around the holy altar. "You dare act as if you're worthy of administering justice when you play tricks like these?" He paused before continuing. "The Temple of Grand Emptiness has always claimed that it views all life equally without differentiating the righteous from the wicked. It has also never meddled in worldly affairs. Don't you have anything better to do today?" Kong Xian straightened his right arm. "Benefactor Duan, are you going to stop this old monk?" "Wretched monk, you're refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit." The third seer of the Fiend Temple waved his arms, and several black-robed cultivators leaped out from behind him onto the plaza. Kong Xian stood calmly with his right hand outstretched when faced with the hostile newcomers. He did not seem anxious, and his manner was neither servile nor overbearing. Arhat golden body. His 20-feet golden body emitted a vast energy as his kasaya fluttered in the air. Jiang Aijin was shocked when he saw this. Arhat golden body is on par with a nascent divinity Tribulation Realm's two-leaf avatar. This bald donkey isn't your average monk. Old mister quickly moved back. The Fiend Temple has clearly come prepared. If that bald donkey uses a Zen mark, you'll certainly be affected since you're only at the sense-condensing realm. As he spoke, he tugged on Lu Zhou's arm to pull Lu Zhou to the back. Jiang Aijin did not even have the time to turn around when he saw the few black-robed cultivators being repelled by the golden light. They did not even have the chance to land a blow. The expressions of the Righteous Path's cultivators changed slightly. The people from the Fiend Temple looked up. The 5 people they sent had cultivation bases at the Divine Court realm. They were also the Fiend Temple's main force on this occasion. They did not expect Kong Xian to repel all of them with a single move. The Fiend Temple's third seat, Duan Xing, was the only one who remained unfazed. He sat on his seat calmly as he stared at Kong Xian in the plaza. A flash of killing intent could be seen in his eyes. A cultivator from the Clarity sect said, "To think that Kong Xian possesses such a high cultivation base. I can't even imagine what would happen if Abbot Kong Yuan were here." Based on Lu Zhou's memories, it was true that the Temple of Great Emptiness stayed away from the affairs of the world. During the past happenings in the cultivation world, the Temple of Great Emptiness had almost always kept themselves out of it. Rumor had it that the abbot of the Temple of Great Emptiness was a cultivation genius of the Buddhist Zen sect. He was so passionate about the Zen sect that it was said that he became a Buddhist monk immediately. However, rumors were just rumors after all. Back then, Zhou Yu had encountered the Temple of Great Emptiness Kong Ming. They had a fight, and Zhao Yu had killed Kong Ming. If he truly had been a cultivator of the mysterious Heaven Saint realm, Zhao Yu would not have bested him. Since the Temple of Great Emptiness had chosen to interrupt the grand ceremony this time, they were clearly declaring the Evil Sky Pavilion as their enemy. Meanwhile, the Fiend Temple's third seat, Duan Xing, glanced at his defeated subordinates before he said indifferently, "Kong Xian, an honest person doesn't have to resort to schemes. You're the one who kept the Elders of Clarity sect and Righteous sect away, right?" Kong Xian shook his head. "The Great Temple of Emptiness is an open and upright institution. Why would we need to resort to such methods?" "Open and upright? Weren't you the one who stationed the stick monks outside the holy altar?" Duan Xing said with a sneer, "It seems like you greatly misunderstand the Temple of Great Emptiness. Dear Benefactor, if you insist on stopping me, Benefactor Duan, I'll play the game with you." Both sides were waiting with swords drawn and bows knocked. At the same time, Jiang Aijin chuckled softly as he said, "Oh, mister, didn't I tell you? That sword freak, Chen Wenjie, has always held an ambiguous stance. He has killed many elites from the Clarity and Righteous sects. If he steps forward now, the two sects would definitely love to turn him into ashes." Lu Zhou was puzzled. Chen Wenjie is ambiguous with his stance. "Old mister, think about it. If you sell the sword to me, I'll tell you everything you want to know." Jiang Aijin used his hand to cover his mouth as he said in a hushed tone, "I even know who the Righteous sect's Master Zhang Yuanshan's wife is seeing." He winked at Lu Zhou as he spoke. His expression seemed to say there was nothing under the heavens that he did not know about. Lu Zhou was once again rendered speechless by Jiang Aijin, but he kept a straight face. "That ignorant man, Zhang Yuanshan, has cursed me so many times. Is his wife having an affair of punishment?" He coughed before he dismissed this preposterous thought and focused his attention on the plaza. At this moment, the Fiend Temple's third seat, Duan Xing, rose to his feet slowly. He raised both arms, and a subordinate standing behind him caught his black robes respectfully. The onlookers had a clear look at Duan Xing's appearance at this time. He was a sour-faced young man with thin lips and cold eyes. "Bald monkey, I will not agree to you taking Zhao Yu away," Duan Xing said before he vanished from the spot. When he reappeared, he stood in front of Kong Xian. Nascent Divinity Tribulation Realm. It only took the onlookers one glance to see that Duan Xing was an elite. Their expressions changed drastically. They did not expect to see a nascent Divinity Tribulation Realms expert in this small-time grand ceremony on the holy altar. It was clear that the Fiend Temple placed a lot of weight on Zhao Yu since Zhuo Xinchan was dead. It was no wonder that Duan Xing refused to give in. Zhuo Xinchan was the only nascent Divinity Tribulation Realms expert who managed to cultivate the Fiend Zen to the four-leaf golden lotus stage. However, he died inside the Evil Sky Pavilion. How could they not be furious about this? Arhut Golden Body. Kong Xian activated his golden body again. His kasaya fluttered in the wind caused by his surging energy. In the next moment, Duan Xing's body seemed to have split into 10, 100, 1,000. They surrounded Kong Xian and attacked at the same time. The onlookers were stunned. What technique was this? Why had they never seen this before? Even subordinates from the Fiend Temple shook their heads and exclaimed in wonder. They had never seen such a dazzling technique before. Cultivators from the Righteous or Fiend paths rarely cultivated agility techniques. These afterimages were created by moving at an incredibly fast speed. Daoist technique, Dao invisibility. Lu Zhou said as he stroked his beard. Jiang Aijin was slightly surprised. "Oh, mister, you know this technique?" This technique originated from the Daoist societies. It was spread to Fuyu before it eventually became a lost art, Lu Zhou said. "Fuyu?" The other tribes, Jiang Aijin's eyes widened. He looked at the Fiend Temple's third seat and the dazzling silhouettes he left all across the plaza. In a world where Great Yin held dominance, there was no place for the other tribes. Thousands upon thousands of silhouettes landed blows on the Arhut golden body. Kong Xian felt immensely pressured, causing him to frown. As expected of the Fiend Temple's third seat, this old monk has indeed underestimated the nascent Divinity Tribulation realm cultivation base. Bang, bang, bang. Shadow punches hit the golden body with blasts of air as energy formed crisscross networks in the air above the plaza. Those who were nearer took a few steps backward to avoid being caught in the crossfire. Kong Xian moved his hands as he said, "In that case, this old monk won't hold back." Primal chi surrounded him as he joined his palms together, seeing one's nature. His heart was clear and bright. He was as steady as Mount Tai, Zen Sex Dhyanamadra. The thousands upon thousands of silhouettes were immediately dispersed by the Dhyanamadra. Duan Xing paused midair, as if he had been frozen in place. During this short moment, Kong Xian moved his arms again. The Dhyanamadra disappeared as he aimed a hand seal toward Duan Xing. Great Vajra wheel hand sign. BZZ. Duan Xing frowned slightly. He raised his arms, blocking the powerful attack. Four-leaf golden lotus avatar. It was as if the Vajra had hit a tough wall as it bounced back. The cultivators scattered to dodge the attack. The hand sign hit the holy altar's portico, and the 48 doors shook violently. The shock wave from the energy blasted the doors open like a raging wind. The main door in the middle was the most sacred. It was also the tallest and biggest door. With a loud bang, Zhou was exposed. The cultivators from the righteous and fiend paths looked over. Holy daughter! A small round dais could be seen inside the door. Zhao was tied to a pole on the dais. She had a furious expression on her face, but she did not struggle. A bright red lotus could be seen between her brows. Zhao Yu, the she-villain. The crowd cried out in shock. Lu Zhou looked up and saw Zhao Yu. He could not sense any aura around Zhao Yu. Just as he had expected, her cultivation base had been sealed. Kong Xian maintained his Arhat golden body and said haughtily, "Benefactor, why must you go out of your way to make things difficult for me? Wretched monk, if this is all you got, I advise you to bring your band of bald donkeys away with you before you run for your life." Duan Xing bellowed angrily. Under the effects of his four-leaf golden lotus avatar, his aura was much more domineering compared to before. Kong Xian joined his palms together. "Since you insist on standing in my way, this old monk won't hold back anymore." Boom! The Arhat golden body disappeared, and Kong Xian supported his chin with one hand as he sat on the ground. An Arhat golden body's projection could be seen at this moment. BZZ. The monks around the holy altar discarded their rods and joined their palms together. Apart from that, the monks around a flying chariot in the air had also moved into a new formation. Once again, the buzzing chants resounded in the holy altar. Although Lu Zhou's expression was calm, he was inwardly surprised. Brahmin lullaby? This is bad. How am I supposed to withstand this with my cultivation base at the middle stage of the sense-condensing realm? The Brahmin lullaby. It was a type of Buddhist sound technique that was similar to the meditation dharani. When the Brahmin lullaby was recited, their own party would benefit from it, while the enemies would suffer losses by having their minds rattled. Those with weaker cultivation bases would be intimidated by the sound technique and bleed from their 7 orifices until they die. However, Buddha was merciful to all. They would never use the word die. Hence, it was called a lullaby, as though those who were afflicted were only going to sleep. Those with stronger cultivation bases would be confused into a stupor by the lullaby, rendering them powerless to react against any incoming attacks. Currently, this sound technique was chanted by so many monks. Its power was beyond one's imagination. Lu Zhou was only at the middle stage of the sense-condensing realm. It was impossible for him to withstand this. BZZ, BZZ, BZZ. It sounded as though flies were having a party around the holy altar. Lu Zhou lifted an arm. A technique had instinctively come to him, and he quickly tried to activate it. At the same time, he turned to look at Little Yuaner and Jiang Aijin. Where did Jiang Aijin go? Lu Zhou's instincts told him that Jiang Aijin was skilled. Alas, he had been focusing on the plaza and did not pay attention to Jiang Aijin. Little Yuaner was frowning slightly. She pouted and stomped her foot in anger. However, she did not seem to be affected in any other way. Her pure heart and character that was devoid of distracting thoughts were an advantage in a situation like this. Moreover, her cultivation base was at the divine court realm. The beginning of the Brahmin lullaby almost did not affect her at all. Be-zizzy, be-zizzy, be-zizzy. The Brahmin lullaby became louder and louder as though waves were crashing on the people on the holy altar. Zhou raised a wizened hand. He knew this was as far as his cultivation base at the middle stage of the sense-condensing realm could take him. He flipped his hand and took an item card out. If he could kill the Temple of Great Emptiness Kong Xian with a single strike, the monks would lose their leader and the chant would automatically stop. However, there was a problem. By doing that, he would certainly draw everyone's attention. This would be disadvantageous to him if he planned to bring Zhao Yu away under everyone's noses. After mulling over for a while, he flipped his hand again and the item card disappeared. He decided to dodge the worst of the attack by using the impeccable card at the right moment. His old face remained calm. The loud buzzing continued to disturb the minds of the people. Ouch! Ouch! These bald donkeys are giving me a headache. A young cultivator standing next to Zhou cursed as he held his head in his hands before dropping and rolling on the ground. Old man, why are you not affected? That's right. Why am I unaffected? Zhou looked around him. Everyone's faces seemed to contort in pain and shine with sweat. The buzzing sound intensified. It was several times louder than before. Zhou suddenly felt a wave of impact surging toward him. This was Brahmin lullaby's greatest effect. He saw many people with a weak cultivation base spit out blood. Needless to say, they were also bleeding from their 7 orifices. A burning sensation spread from Zhou's sea of qi in his dantian. Be-zizzy, be-zizzy. To get the mental intelligence of others, we should know that there is no difference in the hearts of the people in the 3,000 worlds. They are like one world. To gain the power to hear everything so that we can hear voices in all realms at will. To gain enlightenment and the power of speech that can change the world with words and free the common people from sufferings. Zhou was stunned. He was not hearing the droning chants of the Brahmin lullaby, but the contents of the scrolls of heavenly writing. It was a human scroll of heavenly writing. When the burning sensation from his dantian subsided, it was replaced by a faint coolness. It spread from his dantian to his belly, chest, heart, and brain. He became wary at this moment. Meanwhile, the sound of the Brahmin lullaby reached his ears again. He looked around him. Most of the cultivators were already sprawled on the ground. It was clear that they were in so much pain that death seemed to be the better option. The remaining cultivators who managed to stay on their feet could not move at all. On the other hand, the monks around the holy altar joined their palms together and their eyes were closed. They were chanting with increasing fervor and urgency. At this moment, only the 4-leaf golden lotus avatar was arrogantly hovering in the center of the plaza. Little Yuaner was sitting on the ground now. She was not terribly affected. She only seemed annoyed. On the contrary, Zhao Yu was unconscious. Meanwhile, the Fiend Temple's 3rd seat, an elite of the 4-leaf golden lotus nascent divinity tribulation realm, was looking at the kasaya worn by the monk Kong Xian. The kasaya was shining with radiant golden light. When Kong Xian saw that Duan Xing was still standing, he increased the strength of his golden body. Arhut golden body. Double Arhut golden body. Bald donkey, is this what you mean by showing mercy to the masses? What a colossal joke. Duan Xing laughed as he extended his 4-leaf avatar and charged toward the Arhut golden body. Boom, boom, boom. When they collided, the violent vibration shook the holy altar's plaza as well. It felt as though space itself had warped. Duan Xing activated his Tao invisibility. His avatars left afterimages around him. The cultivators who were still conscious looked at the 4-leaf avatars with a frightened expression on their faces. Moreover, they also saw 4 Arhut golden bodies, under the enhancement of the 4 sources of golden light. The Brahmin lullaby sound technique was enhanced to the limit. The lullaby sounded thunderous from the monks' rehearsed chantings. Boom! An explosion sounded in the air as Duan Xing's 4-leaf avatars disappeared. He was sent flying and landed among the Fiend Temple's ranks. Tap! 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 Duan Xing tapped his meridian points to stop his wounds caused by the sound technique from worsening. He looked at Kong Xian, who was unleashing his mighty power in the plaza, with a cold glint in his eyes. The bald donkey is so powerful. Duan Xian pushed himself off the ground with one hand. A fierce expression appeared on his face. He wanted to move, but discovered that he had been rendered immobile. The Brahmin lullaby's intimidating effect covered every inch of the holy altar. Kong Xian's eyes were clear and bright. He had risen into the air as he shone with a radiant golden light. What's he doing? Why isn't he stopping? He has already won. Zhou thought to himself. That's enough. A deep voice, clearly unaffected by the Brahmin lullaby, sounded from behind the monk, Kong Xian. Kong Xian was stunned. Who was it? He turned his golden body around slowly and saw an old man walking toward the holy altar with ease. The old man's speed was neither rushed nor slow, and his manner was neither servile nor domineering. Zhou stroked his beard and said drily, "The Buddhist sect has always prided itself in not taking any lives, and yet you've broken that rule today. Is this the will of the great temple of emptiness abbot, Kong Yuan, or is it your will? Benefactor, why are you unaffected?" Although the monk, Kong Xian, was filled with confidence and knowledge, he was still taken aback by the old man's leisurely manner. The Brahmin lullaby was chanted by dozens of monks and himself, a nascent divinity tribulation realm monk. The old man should have been affected in some way at the very least. Zhou said indifferently, "Answer my question.